Welcome to Health System CIO's interview with Justin Ott, CIO at Billings Clinic-Logan Health. I'm Anthony Guerra, founder and editor-in-chief. Justin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, very good. Looking forward to having a fun chat. Let's start out if you want to give me some background on your organization, which just was created through a merger, I believe, in March 2004. So your organization and your role.
Yeah, you bet. I've been with Billings Clinic since 2006, and I've just joined on with Logan Health as part of the merger that you were talking about that occurred actually in September of 2023.
Okay.
And so what that is we were two independent healthcare organizations in Montana, the two largest independent healthcare organizations in Montana that joined forces to try to keep and maintain localized, centralized healthcare in the Montana region.
Okay, very good. So, Billings acquired Logan, technically,
Nope.
usually.
No, Anthony, and so thank you for that clarity. So what happened is it was a true merger,
Hmm.
50-50, where they are actually under a parent company that is going to be named later, obviously, and so that's why the name Billings Clinic Logan Health, but no, equal partners in a true merger.
Are they both approximately equal size? I mean, is it like does each have sort of one hospital with a certain number of beds? What's the best way to describe the size of the entities?
Yeah, so together, so roughly very similar organizations in
Hmm.
size, very similar organizations and services provided, very similar organizations across the board. That's what made us very interested in becoming one together. And so what we are is a 1,000 bed hospital system. And what that means is we have two main hospitals, PPS hospitals, and then we have 24 critical access hospitals that make up our health system that are in Montana and Wyoming area.
Okay, great. So tell me about the EMR situation at each entity prior to the merger agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as part of the merger, and I'll just kind of jump ahead to that a little bit. As part of the merger, we knew both organizations knew going into this discussion that having both organizations, all the critical access hospitals on a truly shared integrated medical record was probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. And so going into this merger and going into this partnership, that was established. And so on the Billings Clinic side, we had been utilizing Cerner, which is now Oracle Health, since 1999. And so on the Logan Health side, we had been using Meditech since 2014. And so very strong relationships with both organizations moving forward. And so the discussion around, hey, which would be the right or which would be the right ER or EHR system to move forward with was what had to be had. So we actually opened it up to a ROM, and we actually did bring in all three of the main players within the EHR realm, and that is Cerner, Oracle Health, Epic, and then also Meditech. And we kind of evaluated those from three main criteria. We evaluated them from impact to our organization to switch to those organizations or we also looked at the timeline associated with that because we all knew once we made this decision to become one unified health system that time was of the essence. We had a lot of our providers and such saying, "Hey, Justin, can you get this done tomorrow?" And so we knew that time was a key factor to that. And then obviously cost was also a key factor to that. So taking that into consideration and weighing all those three pillars against the three options for EHR, we came to a conclusion that Oracle Health would be our strategic partner moving forward for our EHR, our integrated EHR.
So let me ask you this regarding Epic. They're known for playing in the larger space. They do have the program where a larger health system can sponsor a smaller hospital type thing. I forget what they call it. Um, were did they show interest in this deal? Did they sort of
They
really?
did.
Yeah,
They
go ahead,
did.
please.
Yeah, they did. They were very active in communicating with us and providing us information along this deal. Some of the challenges around utilizing or going to their health system was obviously the disruption. You would have to then bring 26 hospitals on a brand new system. Whereas if we went with the Oracle Health or even Meditech, that wouldn't be that dramatic. The other thing associated was the implementation costs were pretty significant to do the Epic implementation. And one other concerning piece of that maybe weighed against Epic in that respect was the certifications for the staff that needed to be able to service and support the Epic system. That was also a factor that contributed to the decision.
And that impacts time and cost, all those certifications, right?
Correct, and it could impact your current staffing
Mm.
because to say those staff don't get certified, then you have some challenges on where those staff fit into the health system.
Okay, very good. So certainly the incumbents have the advantage, the inside track there because it's less disruption. And you've got Cerner Oracle on the billing side, you've got Meditech on the Logan side. Um, what I mean, it's been a few years, but the newer version of Meditech is 6.0. I don't even know what it is now, but they had a big revamp a number of years back where it was like a total rewrite. And it was supposed to be pretty attractive. But how would you describe the decision points or sort of what weighed in the favor of Cerner Oracle that made you decide specifically over Meditech?
Well, I think, Anthony, right out of the get-go, the main factor is Oracle itself. If it was still Cerner, it may have been a different decision, but I think the change to Oracle or Oracle acquiring Cerner and us having about a year to see what Oracle was doing in the health sector and what they were doing with their newly acquired Cerner organization, I think was quite the difference maker. And what I mean by that is we are already on a Oracle database. So right there, your integrated medical record is already on an Oracle database. And so how they were taking the approach of how they've done some amazing things in business with their databases, and a lot of the Fortune 500 companies utilize that their services. Um, they took that same approach to healthcare, which is very interesting. And what I mean by that is there's a lot more interoperability that they're trying to accomplish, and the stuff that they're doing with AI and the stuff that they're doing to make our clinicians and our staff's lives easier, if you will, or the ability to try to get rid of a lot of the task-oriented to-dos that they've had to do was very, very intriguing. We were lucky enough to be one of the first folks to pilot and be a beta test site for their AI solution called Clinical Data Assistant. That's now since changed their name. But what that is the ambient listening, where you're a provider, you can set your phone next to a patient and they can document all their notes just by that conversation with that patient. They get the opportunity to review those notes and finalize those notes. What we saw with that and how that developed from the time we started with the initial beta testing to what we've seen just recently is night and day. And so that gave us a lot of positive support around the Oracle decision, that when Oracle says they're going to do something, that they'll follow through and they actually do get it done. And so we were able to see a lot of that. And so that kind of led to the idea that we're pretty confident that we're making the right decision long term by signing on with Oracle Health as our electronic health record.
And how long were you on Cerner before it was acquired by Oracle at Billings?
So since 1999, and it was acquired, I want to say, and was it 23 or 24 that they acquired them? So 24 years, 23 years.
So one of the things that is commonly observed, and I've certainly seen it, is that often in acquisition and all the things that are promised and talked about, all the benefits do not come to fruition. We've seen that over and over again. In fact, things get much worse. You see a large fleeing of talent from the acquired entity as their culture is disrupted, and the reasons people worked there and loved it go away. We see that often. But you can really talk the talk here because you were on Cerner for a long time.
Correct.
You've been there through the acquisition, and you have, from what you're saying, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. You have definitely seen a shot in the arm and a positive impact here from the Oracle ownership. Is that correct?
That is totally correct. We have over 100 physicians now currently utilizing that clinical data assistant, generating roughly 300 notes a day. And so if you talk to those folks, they say it's game changing for them. They say that, you know what, now they can have dinner with their families at night. Now they can go to bed on time. Their work-life balance is changing for the better. And so if you just look at that, Anthony, and take that approach, and what Oracle is doing is taking that approach to the entire health system as a whole. So now we're already talking about what does the nursing module look like for AI? What does the revenue cycle module look like for AI? What does the registration, scheduling, billing, all those components look like from an AI perspective that can help, eliminate some of these tedious tasks that our staff is dealt has to deal with every single day. And so that also helps build, the quality of what their jobs are, and then also helps with the balance between work and home and work and family.
I understand that and I get that. I think what I'm really trying to zero in on is almost like the Oracle post acquisition. You've seen the influence being like better. Talked about the database now, right?
Yeah.
Now that they've got the Oracle database, and is it almost like fuel? I just want to zero more in on the impact of the acquisition because everybody if I talk to somebody who was on Epic, they would say, yeah, we're doing ambient AI and we're doing all this cool stuff, a lot of stuff you just said. But I really want to understand the positive influence that Oracle has had. Has it almost like sped up the whole company because of the infusion
Yes.
of the Oracle people and the Oracle products and the Oracle services?
That subject matter expertise, Anthony. And so what I think you're alluding to, or what you're trying to get at, is when we were on Cerner, we had a lot of challenges getting projects done in a timely manner. We had a lot of challenges getting the subject matter expertise or getting the advice on, hey, what should we do as a health system? Or, hey, Cerner, have you ran into this scenario or this situation? And it seemed like it took a lot of time. And so what we've seen right out of the gate, to your point, is that has dramatically reduced with Oracle. Is it perfect? No. But is it significantly better? Absolutely. We're getting responses to questions. We're getting strategy. We're getting ideas. We're getting thoughts. We're included in a lot of decisions. We're included in a lot of discussions at the Oracle Health level, which is very rewarding and very inspiring to us to be part of the discussion, to be part of the equation. And so I think that is kind of the significance that you're alluding to, from when it was just Cerner to now being Oracle Health. That is a dramatic improvement for the better for us, and we're seeing, and it's paying dividends.
It's really interesting, and you've totally explained what I was trying to get at. So thank you. When it was announced as a customer, what do you go through as a CIO of a healthcare organization when there's an acquisition like this of a major application that runs your health system? There has to be a period of concern. You don't know how things are going to go up, down, left, right. There's certain either communications that are flowing or not flowing.
Right.
You're being asked by your leadership what's going on. You may have answers, you may not. Tell me what that whole process is like.
Yeah, it's scary. I'm not gonna lie to you. The initial response is, oh wow, what does this mean for my organization? What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my staff? And so, but understanding going in that once you get over the emotional reaction, you can start digging into the facts. You can start digging in and seeing exactly what a acquisition like this to a company like Oracle can actually mean. And so once you get over the initial phase of being scared, being somewhat intimidated, because Oracle is a monster in the industry, in the tech industry, you can start piecing together an idea, a strategy, a plan around, hey, this could actually be a good thing, and here's why. And so, and then I have to give Oracle Health and Oracle a lot of credit. They immediately reached out to us. They immediately reached out and said, hey, we want to make sure you're well informed. We want to make sure you know what the strategy is, and we want to make sure you know what the plan is around what we're going to try to accomplish with this acquisition. And I thought them getting ahead of that was pretty important. That to your point, kind of alleviated some of the stress, some of the fears that we had as a health system going into a change like this, because to your point, you just don't know, and so that uncertainty always aligns with fear, always aligns with the what if, the uncertainty. And so working through that with them and being able to ask those questions and get responses kind of helped alleviate that. So we felt good, but no, to answer your question, the very first feeling was, wow, I'm pretty scared. I don't know what this is going to be, and this could be a big deal. So
We've seen a lot of messaging coming out of Oracle Cerner that I would say is certainly not timid in terms of their interest in sort of going head to head with Epic, which is what they're supposed to be doing. But it's certainly not shrinking violet type stuff. It's up there saying that they really want to own, I think, this AI space and sort of be the EMR of the future. I was unclear, and I was speaking with some CIOs at a recent conference. There was some lack of clarity around whether what we're going to see is injection of AI into the existing product, or if perhaps there's some completely new product EMR rewrite that's going to come out at some point. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
yeah, I can give you what my perception is and what my understanding is from the folks that I've talked to and the conferences that I've been to. So I think you're right on track. The idea is they're already a data company. They do databases. They do that part of technology better than anybody on the planet. And so by doing that, they know that and they understand that again better than anyone. And so by taking what they're doing in healthcare, what they've done in business, what they've proven in business, what they've proven in supply chain, what they've proven in some of these other areas, and applying that to healthcare is a big deal, and it's something that they could dramatically change for the better. Some of the perceptions that are around healthcare, some of the challenges that we face in healthcare. The idea that and from what I heard from Larry Ellison, even at the conference, the Oracle Health Conference, was they're looking to be the health information exchange for everybody. Whether you're on Epic, whether you're on Meditech, whether you're on Oracle Health, they want to be able to interact and have interoperability with anybody and everybody. And so, in doing so, and having an understanding of how those databases work and how everything connects, that's pretty powerful. That's a pretty powerful statement to make. But the ability to execute is there. They could execute on that. And so, to see that piece of it move forward is going to be very interesting. But then back to the EHR and the design of the EHR. Yes, they're redesigning the user interface of their EHR to be more AI centric, to
Hmm.
utilize the AI tools to help ease the access for the individuals that are utilizing the system, whether that's your clinicians, whether that's your frontline workers, whether that's your doctors, whomever. Their goal is to try to utilize and make the EHR interaction as simplistic as you're ordering something off Amazon.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? To watch what's going on in the industry with this, um, in terms of what Oracle Cerner's trying to do and position itself to do. Epic still has that momentum.
Mhm.
We still see that. So, um, I mean, you have a horse in this race, whatever the expression is, but I don't know if you're a betting man. I don't know. It's interesting. Any other
It
thoughts on
is.
watching these two battle it out? And everyone says, and everyone's right when they say this is really good for the industry. It's not good for the industry for Epic not to have competition,
Absolutely.
and it's not good for health systems not to have any choice. So, what are your
Agreed.
thoughts as you watch these two battle it out? Do you see distinct strategies, or do you think they're both trying to do the same thing?
No, so that's a very good question. And yes, I do have skin in the game as we've signed on with Oracle Health long term. And so, and I kind of just look back, Anthony, to why. Why did we choose that? Why did we believe that Oracle Health was the right partner for us moving forward? And I think a lot of the stuff that we talked about, Anthony, their ability to have that interoperability, and interoperability is used a lot, but having true interoperability, and as a guy that's responsible for interfaces, that's responsible for connecting all these systems together, oh my gosh, that's music to my ears. If I can eliminate some of those interfaces, if I can eliminate some of those requirements, and everybody in healthcare that you talk to that's in IT understands the impact of interfaces and things along those lines. So if you have true operability, which means no interfaces, that can go a long ways. And some of the development that we've seen with AI, and knowing that they're the premier AI shop, all the folks that you talk to around the country that are utilizing AI are doing it on Oracle's hardware, are doing it on Oracle's databases. And so that gives you kind of some insight to say, okay, maybe they've got this part figured out. And so the idea of the innovation, the ability to actually deliver on what they're promising, I think kind of helps solidify that, hey, we made the right decision in moving with this group long term. Back to your competition comment, absolutely. It's necessary, and it's a must for us in healthcare in this country to be successful. And so having a monopoly over that would not be good for anybody. And so I think the idea that uh, Oracle Health may push Epic, or Epic may push Oracle Health, there's nothing but benefit from that as they push each other, as they strive to be the first to market, as they strive to do the biggest improvements and best improvements. It's only going to be better for us as the customers, us as the strategic partners for these different organizations. That we're going to see that, and then in turn, our patients are going to benefit from that. We're still all here to try provide the best patient care we can, and so utilizing these two against each other to help benefit everyone, I think, is the ideal scenario.
When you talked about interfaces, and trying to move data from one application to another, and having perhaps, the bigger you get, the more you get. There are organizations with hundreds of applications, which could be, many, many, many interfaces. One of the huge discussions that's coming up is people, this sort of balance between staying in suite being inside Epic's family of applications or inside Oracle Cerner's family. And that seems to be a push that comes from the CIO level, sort of that urging to, hey, we got this, or we don't need another interface if we use this one, or there's some cost savings here, versus those that are tasked with innovation solely and perhaps have less of a focus on some of the other big picture or integration stuff. There seems to be a tension. Stay in suite, let's be innovative and pick the niche applications. Um, and a lot of people, I'm having really interesting discussions with people that are trying to manage that. If you're totally staying sweet, you're sort of captive to your vendor, your core vendor, and you just do whatever they do, and there's not much creativity. If you go out of suite too often, you're going to have all those interfaces. You're going to have a lot of complexity. You're going to have a lot of cost. I'd like your thoughts on that tension in healthcare.
Oh, yeah, I'd be happy to speak on that. So I look at it as, if you're doing your organization properly and you're providing the proper guidance to your organization, there's not one size fits all, unfortunately. It's not Epic can provide everything, or Oracle Health can provide everything. It's just not realistic. And so you as a CIO, or you as a leader in the organization or the health system that you're responsible for, are not doing yourself any favors if you're saying, nope, we're only going with one solution. That's not realistic. And what I mean by, there's some things that maybe Oracle Health is not doing as well as other organizations or other companies out there, and same with Epic. And so there's always going to be a need for quote unquote third party or quote unquote bolt-on solutions. And that's a lot of that's driven by the needs of your providers, your clinicians, the people on the front lines, telling you that, hey, the current need or the current solution is not meeting the need that we need to have to be able to care for our patients correctly and effectively. And so having that understanding and going into those, it's worth the evaluation. It's worth doing the due diligence to say, okay, does this third party solution actually do better than what we're currently being provided by the Oracle Health, or we're currently being provided by Epic? And if so, then why wouldn't we do it? And I know there's costs associated with that. To your point, there's interfaces associated with that. But again, it should go back to why we're here, and that's obviously to care for our patients. And so, if we're providing solutions that will help elevate that ability to care for those patients, it's our responsibility to be able to look at that and do that for our systems and ultimately for our patients. The other thought around that is, and I'll kind of go off on a little bit of a left turn for you, the same concept or same thought you may want to have at some point down the road is the same thing as having a localized data center or moving things to the cloud.
Mm,
You have the
mm-hmm.
same type of concept with that, right? If you
Yep.
move everything to the cloud, you're at the mercy of the cloud. You're at the mercy of the internet. You're at the mercy of what have you. You'll lose some of that flexibility. But again, disaster recovery, safety, the ability to be breached, those things are drastically reduced. But again, you're never not going to have a data center at some point to some level, to some size footprint. So I kind of look at those as similar in the context, but two different approaches.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree with you about the on-prem versus cloud stuff. We're actually doing a webinar on that in a couple weeks, that exact topic,
Yeah,
because
it's a big
there's a
one.
big pendulum. Well, I feel like there's definitely a pendulum swing back from the I don't want anything to ever do with a data center again. I'm putting everything in the cloud, and anyone who thinks differently is a dinosaur. That has swung back, certainly, and there is some, hey, um, there's some more control. There's some benefits to having some things on-prem, that make CIOs sleep a little better at night. So,
Absolutely.
very interesting topic. Um, Let me just ask you. I'm gonna let you go in a couple minutes, but we talked about, um, the idea of going is either staying in suite or going with a bolt on. That may be the requests may be coming from clinicians, as you mentioned, who say, uh, we've come across something that's really good for patient care and better than what we've got in suite. Um, what I'd like to ask you about is a little more information on how that decision gets made. That's not something I assume that's going to be a CIO decision that says, no, you're staying with this, because you have patient care issues. You have clinicians talking about clinical things. You may be weighing in from an IT point of view and a cyber point of view about, weighing in with some sort of metric that helps a body that also includes clinicians come up with some decision. So governance is going to come into play here, so all the right voices are heard. But ultimately, it's not going to be, I assume, Justin Ott saying, "No, Doctor So and So, stick with what you got. It's good enough."
Yeah, you're spot on, and very rarely do if I mean I'll just say very rarely does IT make the decisions for the organization. We provide the recommendations from our perspective, and again, you pointed out cyber. Cyber's key in that, and we all know how important cyber is and the risks associated with that. So you may have the best possible solution on the market. It may be the best thing ever, but if it puts your organization at significant risk, that has to be part of the equation and that has to be part of the discussion. And so, not only from an IT, a cyber, an interface, what have you, you also got to take the understanding from the impact to the providers, the impact on the clinical side, the impact on the financial side, because again, there's going to be a cost associated with this, and how all that ties together. And you're absolutely right. We have different committees at different levels that vet through that for us. And then what we do is then we try to bring those recommendations together and then bring them up through senior leadership for their approval. And then essentially it could also go to the board level if necessary. But a lot of those discussions will go up through and be provided by our subject matter experts and that's who you want making those decisions. You don't want me necessarily at the CIO level making decisions on best case for a clinician. You want some of those subject matter experts, much like I don't want some of my folks on the clinical side making technology decisions around the newest servers, the newest hardware that we're going to implement. But as a combined, unified unit, we want to make those decisions and those recommendations together.
Yeah, somebody or somebody that votes, or somebody that ultimately takes into account the voice of the clinical teams and the voice of IT and the voice of cyber, whether that's one or split, but takes all that together and makes a
Yeah, those
decision,
those
right?
collaboration committees are key.
Yeah,
You have to have those.
right. Because yeah, so that's fascinating stuff. Um, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to give you a chance, Justin, for a final thought. Usually, how I frame these up is, you've been in the business for a while. Uh, so, what's your best piece of advice to someone at a comparably sized health system, sort of does what you do, just another one somewhere else in the country? What's your best piece of advice to that person?
So reiterate with your team that just because you're in this position that you don't have all the answers. You're going to rely on them for the answers. There, a lot of them are frontline. A lot of them are the subject matter experts. A lot of them deal with this stuff daily. You want to be able to empower them to help make the decisions. You want to be empower them to be able to speak up and advise you in your role and advise you to what you'll bring then to the senior leadership team, to what you'll bring to the board level. Um, there's a common misconception that if you're a CIO or a CEO or a COO or what have you, that you have all the answers, and that's just not true. That's just not accurate. Rely on your people. They're your best and most valuable investment.
That's wonderful, Justin. I have really, really enjoyed our talk today. Great stuff, great insights. I want to thank you for your time today, and I'll definitely reach out in the future. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Anthony.
much.
It's my pleasure. Thank
Have
you,
a
sir.
great day.
You too.